Good afternoon. Tom Johnson, along with our mayor, Alex Rounaghi. Alex, it is good to see you. I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. We've both been busy and haven't been able to connect. How you doing?
Great to be with you, Tom. Always a pleasure.
Everything good with you?
Things are good, just very busy as always.
Hey, I understand you love Laguna.
I do, and I had a it's very inspiring to see how many people showed up for that event. I did some trash pickup at Main Beach with council member Kempf, and who has a lot of what are those things called that you can use to pick up trash picker
Yeah, the
uppers,
little
whatever
grabbers.
the grabbers. She has
Yeah.
several of them, so she let Mark Orgel and I borrow one because she does that all the time. And so we had
Nice.
a great time. I think it's just a great example of, the community coming together and expressing their love for the city, but actually doing something to make it better.
The crowd astounded me when I saw a photo of it.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you though. So you get ready to pick something up. Don't people just run over and go, "Oh, mayor, 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 I'll get that for you." None of that.
Not this time.
Okay. Hey, moving to a serious subject. I understand that there is a major lawsuit filed against the city of Laguna Beach by Chris Dornan.
Yeah.
And the price tag I heard was $148 million, which I know is just a price tag. It doesn't mean that that's where it's going to be or anything like that. What's behind the lawsuit? And is that a fairly accurate amount? And what's the city planning on doing on next steps?
Yeah, so as you know, Tom, I can't discuss the specifics of ongoing litigation, but I'll make 2 points for you and for your listeners. One is that, there's a reason that there's an application process, which is ensuring that there's due process for the applicant and the neighbors. And so when you don't complete the application process, so for example, and this is what I deal with in my day job, you submit an application, the city gives you comments, and then you go and you respond to those comments in your next application, and ultimately you get deemed complete. When that application has not been, gone and when it hasn't been deemed complete, when there haven't been, responses to revisions from the city, then it's pretty speculative to say what we will or not, will not do because our process is based on the idea that you have, a complete application with all the required submittal material. So when we don't have an application that's submitted that includes all the requirements, it's very speculative to say what the harm would be if that person just hasn't responded to comments and submitted a complete application. That's my first point. My second point is I think that if people look at this city council over the past several years since Mark Orgel and I have been on it, and there have been a lot of different projects where there's a housing law that's in conflict with what the neighbors want. And when you watch those projects, take place, and some of them have been very difficult decisions related to, a second story ADU that blocks private views, but under the, changes in state law, it has to be approved. The council, opted for following the state law. So I think that what I would say is one, it's speculative for me to comment on something when there's not a complete application to say whether or not the city would approve the project. But number two, generally when applications come before us that meet the requirements, even if they're not requirements that we necessarily like, there's a history where we'll approve those projects. And so again, that's not specific to this because I can't talk about ongoing
Gotcha.
litigation, but I think that, it's important to follow the law and ensure due process for everyone involved, which includes the community, the applicant, and of course, having a fiduciary interest in the city, which is to mitigate legal risk.
Very good. Appreciate that. On maybe a little brighter note, there's a community survey going on right now, and it's asking people in town for their input on future ideas on what they want for retail, restaurant, entertainment, and I would think that that's something you really encourage people to get behind.
Absolutely, because I think when you look at businesses that really succeed in this town, they're typically ones that have a lot of resident support in terms of going to them on a regular basis. Because if you just rely on the summer months when when there are a lot of tourists, that can get you, I don't think that can get you through 12 months of the year to pay all the expensive costs of running a restaurant or a small business. And so our goal is to basically figure out what do the residents want and then use that information as we go and recruit different businesses to come into town. And, I've always said that the best way to recruit businesses to come to town is to streamline our processes, because right now people don't want to deal with a lengthy, complicated, discretionary process for a conditional use permit to open up. What they want is predictability. They want streamlined approval, and otherwise they're just not going to open up here. So I think it's a multi-step approach. We had Mark Orgel and Sue Kempf last night. They asked for support to have the council come back and consider forming an ad hoc committee with the two of them related to economic development. So they'll be involved with this. And our goal is to, work on how we streamline our processes. And then, with that, with a streamlined approval that people can take advantage of, then, maybe showing them this data from the survey about what is it the residents want. Because we have a high income in this town. So people have money to spend. And if we can find ways to have businesses that are providing the supply, or providing the services that food or any other good that residents want, I think that business will do very well.
Yep. Okay, good. Good. And I think it's always good to um, get the residents engaged in that process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean they're the ultimate deciders of like you say, during the summer months, people can pour into town, walk into a business and give the business false hope.
Yep.
It's those months after summer's done and till summer comes again that really makes a business. And that's where we need the community. So I'm glad you're doing that. Speaking of reaching out to the community, there's also a process going on asking for the community to get involved in another committee, which is the Community Land Trust.
Yep.
And kind of talk to me about what that is. I will just say that they're going to be the people in it are going to be interviewed on Monday at 4 p.m. And I'd also like to know, is that something that the community should show up at and listen to the people as they do those interviews?
I think it's a private interview. It's an ad hoc committee
Okay.
of council members Orgel and Whalen who are facilitating that. So I don't think it's open to the public.
Okay.
Our goal with the community land trust is to basically have the city basically help stand it up. We're going through the IRS now to get the nonprofit documents, which I believe is delayed due to the government shutdown and just cuts to the IRS. And then the idea would be that this would ultimately be a standalone nonprofit that could raise funds and make strategic investments to ensure that our historic arts colony continues to remain as a place for artists to live. And so that's the goal here. And and then the city government can play a role in helping to facilitate that and perhaps provide support in different ways in the future. But really what the goal is this needs to be a community-based effort, raising funds from the community, because that is how this can succeed. And I do think there's a lot of community support and interest in this idea.
Cool. That's great. Let's run down. I'm just going to give you a couple of things. I just kind of want to get, what's top of mind for you right now on each of these subjects.
Okay.
We'll start off with what's the latest with Promenade?
Promenade, I believe we are moving forward with the design phase of that. My understanding is that there are regular meetings with the project management team, and I think that the goal is for a groundbreaking in early 2026.
Okay, good. How about the latest? Any news or updates on Canyon undergrounding?
Canyon Undergrounding, there was the good workshop that I watched after the fact that the city manager held. And as you know, Dave Kibb is always so good at doing those workshops and understanding the questions that are asked and then being thoughtful in his response to them. I think there will be an update to the council soon about the next steps with regard to that.
Okay, that's great. And then finally, we've had that site that the city negotiated. I don't know if it's a couple years back, which is the old St. Catherine
Yeah.
Siena Parish Church. Uh, anytime we're doing something in town, it kind of always rises up as, oh, is that a place for it or whatever? What is going on down there, and what do you see going on in the near future?
Yeah, that's certainly an open question right now. We have the fire department that is there, where like the command staff of the fire department are housed at St. Catharines or the Laguna Beach Community and Recreation Center. We have I know basketball is taking place there. There's classes. There's things going on there, but and we'll continue to program it. But what we need to figure out is our long-term use for that facility. One of the pieces of direction that came out of a study session on our facility master plan from several months back was to look at the idea of, okay, we have a lot of things we want to do in town. We have fire safety upgrades, seismic upgrades. We want to have, somewhere have a world-class recreation center. Could we be better off in achieving all these goals if we were to look at, perhaps selling St. Catharines or doing a long-term ground lease and then redeploy those funds elsewhere that we otherwise would not have? So I think that's something that should be considered. All options should be on the table because at the end of the day, you can have big dreams and ambitions for different projects and proposals and programs, but if you don't have the money to fund it, then you're basically just dreaming. And we have a lot of needs in the city that need to be addressed. And so if St. Catharines, or the Laguna Beach Community and Recreation Center could play a role in helping us finance those necessary investments, that's something that I'm very interested in. And so that would be I believe there will be, at some point, we'll get some analysis on what the potential revenue opportunities could be from that facility.
Okay, and that's just kind of an interesting thing to watch because it seems like it's the catch-all answer to so many things in
I
town,
know.
but it just never seems like we've actually gotten our arms around what we're going to do with
Yeah.
it. So,
Well, and
so
it's also kind of awkward in the sense like it's a former school, so it's you really have to put a lot of money into it to turn it into what we would want it to be. And so that's kind of part of that analysis that I just described. If there was a revenue opportunity that money could be better spent elsewhere, and we don't have the money to make investments in that facility now, then maybe we'd be better off doing that. So it's certainly something that'll involve a lot of public input and careful analysis, but I don't think we should just kind of keep it in a stalemate for so long and overlook opportunities.
okay. Now, if somebody walked up to me on the street and they said, "Are you a friend of Alex Rounaghi's?" I say, "Absolutely." But you and I don't hang around on the weekend, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
Because I don't know what you spend your spare time doing, if you have any spare time or whatever. But are you a gardener? You do any gardening?
And I'm not a gardener.
Okay, because I noticed that there's this composting course coming up at the
Oh,
Suzy Q Center that the city's doing in conjunction with CR&R, and I'm more jokingly
I'm
joking.
sorry to let you down, but I will not be teaching that course.
Okay, but why is a class like this part of the contract that the city has with CR&R?
I believe so because our goal, and I think this is state law driven as well, but also just from a sustainability perspective, our goal is to maximize the use of our food waste and just waste in general and deploy it into useful purposes. So composting is obviously a great example of that. And so I believe that is part of the agreement that we approved with CR&R.
Well, I find out through the course of the year, not only watching Laguna Beach, who uses CR&R, but I see it north in Newport Beach with CR&R, and they have different things, whether it's taking paper or files and things like that and destroying
Yeah.
those, as well as composting and things like that. So I kind of figured there had to be a tie-in to that. It's funny. After an hour after or 2 hours after the composting, we actually switch gears over there. We start talking about coyotes.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
coyotes haven't been the top of news lately. Like I'm not getting a lot of reports about, and I think that's probably more because in the summer months the coyotes have bred and now they're having their pups and everything like that. Have you heard top of mind stuff on coyotes lately?
I haven't heard a lot about coyotes. I saw one the other night a couple weeks back, but I have not heard that we have a huge problem right now. But if I do hear about that, you'll be the first one that I tell.
And I just think it's a cautionary tale for anybody, especially depending on the pet size you have.
Yeah.
When you're out on a walk, is to just be conscientious of what's going on around you. Like, I mean, if I don't have a little tiny dog, but if I had a little tiny dog and I was walking around the block, even though I'm not worried about a coyote coming up to me, but they kind of sneak up to you and they're pretty smart animals and they'll look at you and they'll kind of size it up and like, can I run by and grab that thing and tug and go? People just need to be aware of of your what's happening around you. So that would be my caution. But anyway, good class. Animal Service Officer John Thompson's going to be there to talk
Okay.
to the community about it. It's 12 to 1. Also on Saturday at Susie Q. I was just one other point I just want to throw out to you, and I don't expect you to know this, but I went on a site the other day. I think it was a city site, and I looked at what's going on in the library.
Oh yeah.
I was so pleasantly surprised at all the activities. I mean, I don't care if you're a mother in this town of kids of all ages, or if you're adult looking for class, there are classes there all the time. It's
Yeah.
impressive.
No, it's our library is amazing. I mean, it's technically part of the county library system, but I have a library card. I encourage everyone to get one and get involved. And we own the facility, but the county, operates it as part of the county library system. And we actually have money from the county as part of that agreement that we can invest in the library. So that's something that will be coming back soon is what could the plans of that library look like as we really turn it into, it's already a world-class, has world-class programming, but how do we actually make it a world-class facility and really put the investment that a good library requires?
Obviously, it's got to be a very important place for parents with kids, particularly
Yes.
young or younger kids, not necessarily toddlers or that age, but just so many good things. If people want to find out more about what's going on there, I would encourage them to go on the city site or go on the library itself. But the city has so many great things on their community newsletter, their most recent community newsletter, what's going on over there. It is impressive, and if you need an hour or two off as a parent, where you want to just go and sit in your car and be by yourself,
Yeah.
go to the library. There's plenty of programming there, and it's good stuff. Another big event that's coming to town is Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
He
Very
is
exciting.
coming for 2 days to the Irvine Bowl. I think I was going to ask you about what the comment has been from people in town, and I would say there's two comments. I'm
Mhm.
thrilled because I got tickets, and I'm not thrilled because I didn't get tickets. What are
Yep.
you hearing?
That's exactly what I'm hearing. People are asking me if I have access to extra tickets at the Answers. I do not. I hear that Tom Johnson has a stash. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
You don't,
yeah, yeah,
but it's a very um a very egalitarian approach to the tickets where it's just a pure lottery and so some people have gotten lucky, others have not. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think that we should all just be excited that we have a great, live music entertainer coming to town, and hopefully this is the first of many opportunities to have something like that in Laguna Beach at the Irvine Bowl.
yeah. No, I think it's great for town, and sometimes when I go to bed late at night, I get done with my reading, and I'm deciding, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now, and I roll over and my brain just starts activating. I think about all these things. And that's been one of them on my mind is like, what are some areas that we as Stu News can tap in on there and things like that and do some stuff. So anyway, I think it's great stuff and I'm glad to see that they're utilizing that way. Listen, we started with a lawsuit at the top with the Chris Dornan lawsuit. I want to end. I just got recently tipped off to a potential school district lawsuit against the ownership of the Vista Aliso City Housing Unit.
Oh,
Any
okay.
news on that?
Well, it's always great to end on a lawsuit. Yeah, I was also someone made me aware of this, yesterday, maybe the day before, and I'm still reading it. But What I will say, so I don't know about the specifics of the lawsuit. I don't want to get into that. But I hope that there's an opportunity in the future for the city and the school district to collaborate and come up with a win-win solution about how can we, ensure that that property where, in 2041 the school district has the right to buy it out for $1. Is there a way for us to extend that and potentially add more housing units there? And also, how do we make sure that in 2041 that all those seniors who are relying on that for affordable housing, which is one of the few affordable housing locations in town, the biggest affordable housing you know, location, that will not just go away in 2041 for $1. And then that would just be devastating for the community. And there's issues with state law there as well. So I don't know about the lawsuit. I still need to dig into it. I was uh, fascinated by it. Is how I would describe it. And what I do look forward to is hopefully there can be a win-win solution here and through collaboration between the city and the school district about how we can, figure out a way forward with that facility that has a really unique opportunity to address the housing needs of our community, and of course continue its the housing that exists there for beyond 2041.
Well, Mayor, I appreciate always your candid responses. I know sometimes I throw something at you and you're thinking like, well, I really can't talk about that or whatever. But I appreciate it that when I do throw something at you, you give us your best effort, and where you can talk about it, you talk about it, and where you can't, we certainly understand. Um, I look forward to seeing you next week. Let's get out
Yes,
there and have some fun in this community. That's what it's all about.
absolutely.
Take care of yourself.
Thanks, Tom.